Hey guys, today I'm just going to do a bit of a run through on a couple of my experiences with the Bulkman Queen Bee Pro CNC. It's a linear rail hobby machine. I've got the xprov5 controller with a 2.2 kilowatt water cooled motor. I'm a pro by no means, like I'm still learning. I've just put the last few weeks into sort of picking it up and broke about 2,000 end mils. So yeah, any tips you can give me, throw it in the comments. I'll be using Fusion 360 to make the machine code, the G code for the CNC. And today I'm just going to use a single flute, flat end mill, 3mm diameter. All right, let's get into it. I've already got a drawing sketched up, so I'm just going to be starting at the manufacturer tab in Fusion 360. And then from there, sort of showing how to do a couple of different functions, boring, contouring, and then exporting the G code, and then we'll run down to the machine and see how it goes. Okay, so you just want to click on the design tab here, jump down to manufacture, and then where you see setup here, right click, new setup, and this is where you want to enter all your material or your stock dimensions and you enter your machine. So you click on your machine here, have your 3-axis CNC set up, operation milling. I just go stock orientation, and then all I do is move this. This is like your start point, so I move it to, that's where I like to have it. Sort of personal preference. I usually make Y the longer axes, obviously, just for if you have bigger items, and if you keep it the same way on each job, it just makes life easier because you know on every job where it's going to start. So stock here, I'm using the correct thickness material today, so stock offset, top offset is 0. If you want the outsides machine, leave some sort of side offset so it knows to machine off around the perimeter of your object. You can enter your perfect size, like, so you can enter your exact size of your stock if you want, but most of the time there's no need. If you just do that 1mm stock side offset, it'll know to machine. Click OK. So then we've got our setup, so now it knows what the stock is, and then you want to enter your process. So there's a lot of options here, 2D, 3D, and Fusion 360 is great. As you hover over each different process, it gives you a rundown and tells you pretty much exactly what each function is. So first I want to do these holes, so I'll use the bore, 2D bore. Just click that, and then we've got our setup here. I'm going to use a 3mm, my 3mm flat end mill. $22,000, feed rate 1600. So yeah, I'm running 22,000 RPM, 1600 millimeters a minute feed rate, which has worked well for me with a single flute upcut doing aluminium. And then the second tab, geometry, is where you're going to select your faces to machine. So we can go through and click each one, or select any that are the same diameter, and then it automatically selects them for you. Heights, shouldn't have to touch heights unless you've got something funny going on. Okay, so here the pitch is how fast you want the bit to feed downwards as it's machining. So I'm going to go 0.2 with my 3mm bit, so it's going to be a slower plunge. Click OK, and then you can right click on that process and simulate, press play, and this will give you an idea of how fast it's going to cut down as well. So that looks good. You can close that, and then also if you click on your process down the bottom right here, it'll tell you how long it's going to take to do that process. Okay, now we want to set up the process to take out these little slots. So I'm going to use the 2D slot function. Still same 3mm bit, same setup. Geometries, you just want to click that lower level. There. Multiple depths again. We'll go 0.2 mil step downs. Press OK. Zoom out. Then for this outside perimeter, I'm going to use a 2D contour. So set up the same 3mm flat end mill, same speeds, 22,000 RPM, 1600 mil feed. Everything here will be the same. There's no need to click rest machining because all it's done is those punches in the middle, punch those holes in the middle. That's all the same. So when you get to this passes page, you can specify how deep you want each cut to be as it goes around the perimeter. If you click multiple passes, multiple depths, and then the maximum roughing. So with the hobby machine, I found like I've had to be pretty conservative with the step downs, because if I go to like, you know, you go and read feeds and speeds for people using professional machines, and they're doing 50% of your bit size step down. So I'm using a 3mm bit, that'd be doing 1.5mm step downs, but I just can't get away with it on this machine. There's too much deflection, and then bits end up breaking and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I'm just going to go 0.2 just for a test. I can probably get away with up to 0.5. That's all good. Finish at final depth. It's all good. Press OK. Oh, I didn't click the contour. That's the one thing you need to do in the geometry tab. Click what you want to machine. So click the bottom of your material on the perimeter that you want to machine. So that one. So then it's aiming to get down to that bottom layer. So that's when in the depths we're going to be doing 0.2 step downs through this 3mm material. So it's going to be a bit slow, but I'm just doing it to be safe on this one. Okay, hit OK. It'll make the machine code, make the process. Then if you orbit around, you'll be able to see how many cuts there are. So that looks good. And then the same thing, you can do a simulation. Close that. So now we've got our bores, we've got our contour. So one thing that I was having an issue with, and it was just something silly because I didn't realise, if you're clicked on one of these jobs and then you go to do your export, your post-process, it will only export the process for the one you clicked on. So you want to either be clicked off nothing or just click on your setup if you have one setup, and then when you export it, it'll do all the processes within that setup. So I clicked on that, we go actions, post-process, post. Yep, save. And then you can use Visual Studio just to make sure everything's happy and there's no errors are found in your G code. And it can be interesting sometimes just to see, you know, what the machine's doing, what axes it's running along. So that's good. Now we'll run down to the CNC and so one of the first hurdles I had was just doing the initial setup of the GRBL in the xPro. So I use CNCjs to control the machine with the G code. And I was trying to do all of the setup in here, and I was just having dramas with the y-axis direction being wrong and little issues like that. So I found you need to connect directly to the xPro first, which you can do via Wi-Fi. So this here, connect to that. It'll open a web page, and this web page is a direct portal to your xprov5. So you can control the machine in here, or you can edit the configuration. So here you got, see the step pulse, you can do everything. And also you can, that was the other issue I had, setting the home, the actual machine homing point. So I could always set the work position, but the machine homing point was always just way off. So you can go in here and actually set your homing points. So yeah, that's just a little thing that I struggled with for a bit. And then once you've got the setup done in here, you don't really need to be in there anymore. You can just control everything by CNCjs. So you just plug in the USB, find your machine. So usually you do the drop down, and then you'll find manufacturer, Silicon Labs, connect on that, open. Now we're connected. And then here's all your controls over here for your axes. So reset, unlock the machine. Now we can control the machine using your direction buttons. So then in CNCjs, you just click this upload G-code button, find your G-code file, tap file, double click it, opens up. So that looks good. You can see the bores are there, the slots are there, and the perimeter cuts there. And then if you zoom out, so if you home the machine, home the work now, X and Y, it'll throw it at your starting point. So it's not necessarily the start of the cut, but it's where the machine begins. So that's where you can line your machine up with your work. So that's not quite right at the moment. We're going to want to shift that over a bit. So it's going to be at the bottom left hand of the workpiece. So just want to walk your machine you're happy for it to start. Then you come back down and see this black dot, that's where it thinks the machine is. So now if you home the X and Y, because you've got it at the bottom left, and then it moves the dot to the bottom left, so that's bang on. And then all you have to do is do the Z axes. So there are some tools to do this. I'm still pretty ghetto. I just drop it down. Till it touches. Just there. And then 0 the Z. And just go up. So now it's ready to go. So you hit play. Sometimes it comes up with something about tool changes and stuff. Just hit play again, go yes, and that it'll go. Not bad.